Are you leading an incredible mission-driven organizations, yet you find yourself lying awake at 3 a.m. wondering why your most powerful stories aren't raising the money, aligning the board, or driving community engagement that you need? It's the ultimate frustration because you're doing the vital work, but your message is just fizzling out. In this episode, we're talking to Jordan McCormick, the Executive Director of Furniture Mission of the Red River Valley, about what it really means to help someone start over. You'll learn how to look past the surface level need and connect with the emotional friction that your audience might be feeling. If you're ready to move beyond the post and pray content and start leading with strategic, human-centered clarity, stay with us. This is how mission-driven leaders truly amplify their impact.
Breathe deep in your chest.
Jordan McCormick, welcome to Tellwell the Podcast. I'm so excited that you're here. Jordan, you and I have known each other for a while.
It's, a long time.
A long time.
Longer than I care to acknowledge.
That's totally fair.
Mm-hmm.
That's totally fair. We've known each other since, our healthcare days, and I remember loving so we really rarely got to go and hang out with y'all.
Yep.
But when we did, it was always like the highlight of the work that I did because you always brought such good energy and good smiles and good laughs. And so I don't know if I ever told you this, but you were one of the highlights of my time in healthcare marketing.
That is amazing. Oh, you just made my whole day. The thing that I always remember was meeting with you for the first time, and you had a MacBook, and it was just the weirdest because nobody else had that.
Nope. Everybody had Dells or something.
Yeah, and obviously it was a system-wide thing, and nobody could be different. And here you were with a MacBook, and I think I even had to ask you, it's like, how did you make this happen? And you just essentially said, well, I just did it. And I thought, wow, you are destined for much bigger things because they're never going to put you in a box.
They tried.
Yeah.
They tried. My director at the time was Kirsten Jensen, and what I have learned since being there and the number of times that she got called into HR and basically said, you don't want to deal with this. Just don't. It's fine. He can blog. That's his job. Let him go and be social and stuff. And they're like, well, did you know that he referred to our cubicles as beige? And she's like, they are beige. And I was like, did you read the blog post? Because I called it a little beige hug, which is a quote from Linda Anderson from back in the day. But there's a reason that I only lasted for 2 years.
That's all right. Clearly, you had things on the horizon that were going to be so much bigger and better. But I just always remember that being so cool. And there were a number of times where I was trying to figure out we can only do it like this because this is what they told us we can do. Yeah. And then I would think, but what about Max? How do I be a little tiny bit like Max?
Yeah.
How do I earn my own space?
The reality it was just pure. I didn't know anything. Yeah. And so I was just like, I tested every boundary. And when somebody gave me a boundary, oftentimes I'd be like, well, that seems like there's options within this boundary.
That's right.
Let's start at the beginning.
At the beginning. I love it.
In the beginning, there was Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us, who is Jordan? How'd you get to Furniture Mission?
It was a rainy day in Oakland, California at Kaiser Permanente Hospital, and I was born. We don't want to go that far back. No, with Furniture Mission, it started with a phone call from a friend who knew about this group of volunteers who had kind of started this concept. And it was starting to take off. And they thought that since it's growing much faster than they ever thought it would, one of the things they needed to do was find a staff person to kind of be the person to pull all these pieces together, create a little sustainability, really help it to kind of get some legs and get to the next level. And so I got to call. It was Paul Fenstead, who I knew when he was at the Y and I was at Family Wellness, and we got to spend a lot of time together. And he said, hey, I know these guys, they do this thing. It's a little weird. And I don't know that they totally know what they're looking for, but I thought of you right away. I think you guys should have coffee. And so I have so much respect for Paul. And so if he says have coffee with somebody, I'm going to have coffee with them. And I immediately fell in love with Furniture Mission as just an idea and the people who are a part of it and made it happen. First of all, the idea of just a furniture bank, which is what we are. We're like a food bank with furniture. Not a new idea. They're all over the country. They're all over the world. But, the idea is if you have a need, we have things to fill those needs. We want you to get back on your feet. And this is a really critical piece to stepping into a new season of your life with dignity, with respect. And how can you achieve these new things without having some of these boxes checked as basic needs? So that's what we're here to do. And so, first of all, that whole idea is just like, goosebumps. It's good. It's just good. What community doesn't need something like that? But I was so blown away with the people. They were very quick to say things like, we have no business doing this. We are the wrong people. Nobody on their team had backgrounds in social work, had backgrounds in nonprofit management, had backgrounds in facility management. Nothing that would contribute to like, hey, I think I can add a lot of value to this. But it was just a great lesson that, it doesn't matter if you're the right fit. It matters if you feel called to do this work, right? And how many times is it less about your credential and more about your passion and your attitude? And that's what this whole team had in spades. I will always remember having that first conversation, going home, talking with Katie, and she, you're looking for jobs or like that. You've got your list, right? You got your list of green flags, red flags, everything in between. She just went down the list and she was like, oh, that sounded like it went really good. Tell me about salary. Well, tell me about the benefits. Oh, well, tell me about, do you even have an office? And just down the list of nope. And by the end of the conversation, she could probably tell. She was like, but this is the thing that you're going to do, right? And I was like, yeah, this is the thing. I got to be a part of this.
So, okay, you, what makes you say yes to something that has that many no's?
I think it's that all of those no's are opportunities to build, to create, to make something kind of grow. And yeah, it's just an opportunity to make something in a space where there wasn't. And boy, is that powerful. That is the thing I think that we as humans are here to do. It's the thing that makes us flex the things that make us who we are on the inside and share them with those on the outside. It's the reason why we're here. And so how can you put your fingerprints on something and make it special for this time, for this place, knowing that there may not be anything else like it in the world because of who's a part of it today? That is it.
I love that you can like hear the heart and the soul just kind of like oozing out of these as you're sharing this. And I want to, what do they say? Like, look beneath the cloak where I'm losing. Maybe we're not looking beneath any cloaks, but I'm curious, like
after hours,
Tellwell after hours, Tellwell after dark. But I'm curious. So we're amongst friends here, right?
Yep.
We are fellow fundraisers and nonprofit executive directors and storytellers.
Yeah.
I'm curious if there was a moment early on where you said to yourself, holy smoking rockets, this might not work. And then how did you move through that doubt?
Every day. Are you serious? Every single day. I knew that I stepped into the role. You just recognize that the opportunity for failure is everywhere. From nuts and bolts perspective, they had never had a full-time staff person before, never had an executive director. I've never been an executive director. Everyone has their own ideas as to like how you would do things or what are important to me that I would want to reflect in my work. But just the opportunity for this whole thing to go horribly wrong was just very, very obvious to me. So I think it's just the lesson of just keep going. A lot of the stuff that comes with this that I've learned so far, and I've been in the role for 3.5 years now, is that you just keep showing up. If you keep doing the right thing at the right time for the right reason, it's got to work. And you don't always get to know what the plan is, right? You can have an idea, you can put together your strategy, and you should be very prepared. That is, as leaders, I think that is our obligation. We are here to mitigate risk. We're here to cast that vision, to inspire, but also to be on the lookout for pitfalls that might put the organization or our people at risk. But to say that we had an airtight plan is not the case. Every step was a step of faith. And so I just had to remind myself that, you know what? I know why I'm here. I believe wholeheartedly in the work that we're doing, and we got to find a way. As a fundraiser, we definitely had some seasons where I felt so just behind the 8 ball in regards to this isn't working. We're supposed to have more in at this time, and we don't. I'm supposed to go do development, and I don't even know what to do. I felt like a bumblebee trying to be a firefly. I had seen other people do it. I didn't even know what to flex to make me glow. And so there were a lot of seasons where, I just had to lean on my peers. And that was kind of my way through. A lot of that was not being scared to reach out to Kelly Krinzel's, to Jaquel's, to just so many people who I said, hey, I'll buy the coffee. I'll buy the beer. We can go on a walk. I don't care. But I need about an hour, and I'm going to vomit words all over you. And then I would love you to put them together in any sort of coherent way that makes sense to you. And I had so many people show up for me.
Just the people that you named are, they don't see themselves like this, but they are like the titans of the nonprofit ecosystem and fundraising community in this town. And what I love, and I've reached out to all of them as well. They have such big hearts, and they have such big brains. Yeah. And like when you combine those two things, like magic can happen.
Absolutely. And I think that's the thing that's really cool about kind of this nonprofit space, and maybe to tie into just our first conversation about how we met each other and just how do you be uniquely you when you're confined to this very specific nailed down job description or box or category. That gets kind of blown away when you're living in this nonprofit space and everyone goes, all right, just go do it. And you go, how do I do it? And somebody says, well, I did it like this, but you don't have to. Somebody else says, well, I did it like this and you shouldn't, but maybe think about this. You get to reinvent constantly. You get to find your identity, and you get to figure out, especially as a young organization. I remember asking the question when I started, I said, well, can I see our brand guide? And
you came from a setting where brand guides were not just like they were law.
They were absolutely gospel.
They were.
And everything was critiqued. And all of a sudden, nobody cares if the logo is a little skewed on that cup. Right? No, like that matters a lot less. Yeah. And like, I still believe that you need to have that when you're building a brand, and it's how you're represented in the community, and it all comes back to relationships, and you want to inspire trust and all that stuff. But it didn't matter as much. And all of a sudden you get a lot of leash to be able to create, to be able to inspire. And that's been really fun. Yeah.
So you've mentioned a couple times so far this idea of starting and going. And you often describe Furniture Mission as helping people to start over, right? And that phrase carries a lot of weight because starting over usually comes after something significant, after a loss. So I'm curious, this is a storytelling podcast.
Yeah.
Can you share a story of someone you served, either a specific family or individual, whose story kind of reshaped how you think about furniture or dignity or even hope in the way that you guys frame it?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, stepping into this role, it's not like I had an affinity for furniture or furnishings at all. But boy, did I care about helping people. And so, you know, just the power of some of this, I will never forget. There was a gentleman from the VA who came in to not get a lot of stuff, but a couple of really important things. He had some injuries from his time in service, and that made it really tough for him to get up and down from the floor. And he was sleeping on an air mattress. And I remember him saying that the hardest parts of his days were the very beginning and the very end, because he had to get up and down from the floor. And so it was just so powerful. He was there with a friend of his and then somebody from the VA, and the friend had mentioned how much having an appropriate sized, like height bed was going to mean for his quality of life. And I think he also got a lift chair to help him go from seated to standing and vice versa. And just having those things allowed him to be able to start to live the life that he wanted to live. That, I mean, it just, like, I will never forget that. I've talked about this other one a couple of different times, but we had a mom in. She had 5 kids. Well, of those 5, there were a set of twins, and I have a set of twins. And so, like, when you have a set of twins or triplets or anything like that, it's like you're a part of a secret club.
Yeah.
They show you the handshake at the hospital. It's really great. So you immediately connect as like, me too, parent of multiples. Yeah, we're in the club. And you know, we spend about an hour with each family as they pick out furniture, and the volunteer who was helping her kept asking, "Hey, what about you?" And she said, "Oh, I'm just here to pick up furniture for my kids." Like that's the mom move, right? You're showing up for your kids. You do everything you can to make sure that they have the life that you want them to live. By the end of the time, my volunteer, essentially wore her down and just would not let it go. And she said, "Tell me what you're sleeping on." And she was sleeping on a cot. And we said, "Hey, would it be okay if we also got a bed for you?" I mean, yeah. That's just the thing that we get to do. We did it today. Today we served 15 families and gave out hundreds of pieces of furniture.
Is that a normal day? 15 families?
No. Well, yes. Today we have our client day. We've kind of built our operation around incoming inventory days and then kind of outgoing days. So we see clients with a big day on Wednesdays. We've got a half day tomorrow. And then we respond to like urgent situations kind of throughout the rest of the week. Yeah, it's a lot. Right now we're turning over 250 to 300 pieces of furniture every week.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
So as you're having these moments with, or your team members are having these moments with these families, with these individuals, what do those moments, what do those conversations teach you about what people really need when they're rebuilding their lives?
I mean, I think it reminds you that the thing that people really need is, one, just the ability to be unapologetically themselves, you know, and sometimes that's really hard. We talk about at the warehouse, we talk about that we're here not to be paid in gratitude. And we see so many people who are so grateful to receive service from us and receive pieces. We love that these pieces have a tangible value that is immediately felt. But we're also here for the people who are struggling with that. And so when I talk about to be unapologetically themselves, sometimes it's just about being transparently true to who you are today. If you're going through a really tough time, if you're recovering from any sort of crisis, if maybe you're kind of in the throes of treatment for addiction, maybe you are trying to figure out how to get custody of your kids back. Maybe you're recovering from just coming out of an emergency shelter for whatever the reason. All of that makes you live in kind of crisis mode. And the idea that you're future planning, the idea that you're thinking about these things makes it really tough. And so maybe you're also struggling with the fact that you have to receive help like this. Most people don't do that very well.
Especially us good Midwesterners.
You just bury it deep down inside and you pour ranch on it and you just make it go away. And so we're here for the people who show up and they're angry and they're embarrassed or they're shameful or they're struggling with all these things. And our job is to show up for them too, knowing that that gratitude moment maybe comes next week, next month, maybe years from now. But that doesn't change the way we show up for people. And so, one, everyone just needs the space to be, right? If today you're really struggling with needing this type of help, that can be today. That doesn't change the fact that we're here to do our best to serve you. You know, I think that people just need to know that people are there for them. Mm-hmm. And even if it's that, yeah, we got you a bunch of furniture and you've got a space for your kids to do their homework at a table or whatever it is. That's great. That's so good. But there's also a warehouse of people who have you in their thoughts and their prayers and are rooting for you, who acknowledge that maybe this next chapter is exciting, but very likely terrifying.
Yeah.
And maybe you get to do some things you've always wanted to do, but you've never done them before. And so you don't know how to start. And so just knowing that you've got people who believe in you, and we don't have to know a lot about you. We just believe in you.
That is a powerful thing to have behind you. And even if they don't know it's behind them, just it being there and keeping people in thoughts and prayers. And that's just like, it's so powerful. And I think it's part of what makes community great, which is actually where I want to go to next.
Yeah,
because you said, you know, we hide those feelings down and we cover them in ranch like a good Midwesterner.
That's right.
But you are a Midwest transplant.
I am.
You moved here in 2008 from California. Not exactly the same pace or climate or people. That's a big change. And yet you've built something really like deeply, beautifully local here. And I think that that's really neat. I'm curious, how has your own journey in moving here from such a different place shaped the way that you lead and you connect with this community?
Sure. That's a great question. And I think the hardest thing is acknowledging that people are people everywhere. I went to college in Crookston, just up the road. That was an adjustment. And I can still remember going into the Bremer Bank in Crookston, opening an account, setting it up, working with the teller, did all this stuff, going back for my second visit to go put something in the account. And she clocked me at the door and she said, "Hey, good morning, Jordan." And I remember my visceral response was, "What do you want?" I'm not signing up for a credit card. Whatever you're selling, I don't want it. Just immediately defensive. And she was just like, "I'm just saying good morning, you weirdo." She didn't say that, of course, because she's a good Midwesterner. But yeah, she was just like, "Okay, no, just enough. Good morning. Let's move on." And like, my family has seen it when they come to visit here and they're like, "Yeah, I get it." I remember one of the first time my dad came to visit. I was living in Fargo at the time, and he was like, the checker at the Hornbachers laughed at his dumb joke. And he was like, "Yeah, people are really nice here. This is great." And I was like, "Okay, she just laughed at your dumb joke." But I think I came in with this idea. You know, I was from a place that is a faster pace, from a place that has more access to everything that comes with having more kinds of people. So culture is, at any hour of the day or night, you could get great food from any culture in the world, right? Music is just this melting pot of just incredible things with influences from everything. And so I kind of came in with this perspective like, you know, this is just meat and potatoes. They don't really know what they don't know. And so I had to learn that people are people everywhere, whether you're from Oakland, California, or Fargo, North Dakota. You don't really want to be vocal about your insecurities. You don't want to be vulnerable. You don't want to share those things that you're working on because you want to put on your armor and you want to be perceived as bulletproof to your peers at work, to your family, to your friends. You don't, all of these things are things that happen everywhere. And so it took me a long time to realize like, oh, people are broken everywhere. We're all working on stuff. And so
people are people everywhere, and
That's
people are broken everywhere.
yeah,
That's just like a moment to like sizzle on that. Like that. It's so true.
well, if you look at, and in this context where you move to a different part of the country and there are things to learn, I'd never mixed ranch and Western dressing before. That's lovely.
Delicacy.
Oh, so good.
Especially on iceberg lettuce.
There you go. Yeah. Romaine,
kiss.
get out of here.
Get out of here,
Get
Romaine.
out of here. But no, you've got just people who are broken, and everyone's trying to figure it out. Right. And that's the thing that, coming back to Furniture Mission, is the blatant reminder almost weekly that we get to hear stories that start with, I never thought I'd need help like this. Right. Everyone, whether you say you're a couple paychecks or a couple of choices, or maybe you're just dealt a couple of things that were out of your control. We get to help people who are even recovering from just unforeseen medical things that for one reason or another just absolutely deplete everything they've saved. And now they're totally starting over. And everyone can be in that situation.
Let's bring it back to Furniture Mission, because y'all have grown fast, right? Thousands of pieces of furniture, hundreds of volunteers, hundreds of families served every year. Growth can be both like exciting, but also is exhausting.
Yeah.
Right. I'm curious, what have you learned about growing with care and growing with purpose and keeping mission and people at the center of the mission?
Yeah. They're called growing pains for a reason. And I think it's really easy sometimes to think like, oh, if we were just a little bit older, we'd have figured this out by now, which is wrong, right? You're supposed to be in the season you're in. And that's the thing that takes a little time to understand. And I know that I struggled with that a lot early on, but also sometimes bigger is not better.
Retweet. I don't know. Do the kids say that? Re-X?
Can we just call it tweet?
Yeah.
Retweet.
Bigger is not better.
Bigger is not always better. Better is better. And I think you only know what better is if you have a really good idea of who you are and who you aren't. That's the thing I think that we've been able to really start to hone in on, is that we're not interested in necessarily duplicating efforts, but we've kind of found a niche in furniture to be kind of our vehicle to show people what faith means to us. We are faith-based. One of the things that hooked me right away, though, is that we're less interested in telling you about that. And we want to show you what that means to us. We want to serve, and we want to do it in a really tangible way. You don't have to be a Christian to get furniture from us, but boy, are we going to show up. You walk through our door, we're going to show up. And I feel like that's just the thing that we need a little more of. But from a growing perspective, it's being mindful of not getting swept up in those whirlwinds that come with, oh no, what are we going to do? This just happened. This never happened before. The number of times we had to solve new problems, and we still do it every single week. We go, oh, we've never had this problem before. Or you start a week and you go, Thursday, I have circled on my calendar because I don't know how we're going to do this. And then you get to Friday and you go, yeah, that's how we're going to do it.
We did that.
Just like
Everything's
we planned
impossible until you do it, right?
Yeah, that's right. But no, I think it's about just making sure that we're focused on those key elements. How are we treating people? How are we putting dignity, respect, How are we making sure that those things are a part of every step of the way, and not just the way that we interface with clients, right? I get to be the only staff person. And so that means that the most critical piece of our operation is our volunteer team. If we're not also thinking about how are we caring for each other, and sometimes this is really tough. It's easy to say that we're here for the person who needs help but doesn't really want to be there. That's different than having to do it. And it's okay to acknowledge like that's really hard. And so as a volunteer team, how are we taking care of each other? How am I making sure that I've kind of got my finger on the pulse as to how our team is doing? I was really nervous about only having a volunteer team stepping into the role. And it is incredible to work alongside people. I was a little bit late today because I literally had to kick people out of our warehouse who were there working on a table.
Yeah.
Like just taking care of some stuff that they wanted to take care of because they felt called to do it. Really cool. But if you're honoring those things along the way, then I think the scaling, you're going to have some bumps in the road, but they're just bumps.
Yeah.
Right. And I think my job is to make sure that I'm doing my best to try and live at a high enough level to acknowledge that that was a bump. This is a crisis, and figure out which one is which.
And to not elevate every bump into crisis mode every time.
Yeah.
Knowing the difference is wildly important. And like, especially as you're leading a volunteer army, like you need to be able to differentiate those two things kind of in real time, because especially to some volunteers, like this is a big deal because this is the only time they've seen something like this. And then you get to come in and say, actually, we're good.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that having some experience affords you, right? That's the thing that I am so grateful for today, having celebrated. I've been in the role for 3.5 years. And today I can confidently say, I think I have a much better idea as to what a crisis is and what is just a problem that is dressed up like a crisis. Yeah.
So we've already talked for like 35 minutes. I don't know how we've already done that. So we're going to have to figure out a story to trim. I don't know if that we're going to be able to find a story to trim, because all of the story so far and all the advice has just been gold. And I think people can walk away with a lot of it. We like to end our conversations in the same way that they began, with story, because we know that stories, more than anything, seem to guide how we lead and how we love. And so I'm curious, what's one story from your life or work that still guides how you show up?
That is a great question. Do you have that for you?
You can't turn this on me yet.
You have a microphone.
Yeah.
And I also just want to acknowledge that getting to watch you build and invite and just grow a team who are focused on doing incredible work while acknowledging the humanness in everyone around you is incredible. And I'm really proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. There is actually a story that really influences how I show up. And actually, as you were talking about how Furniture Mission shows up, not to tell you what you believe, tell other people what you believe, but show them. What was so interesting, when my grandpa Herb passed away, we were in and we were meeting with the pastor, and Grandpa Herb was not a very religious guy, never went to church with Grandma Alice, even though Grandma Alice would have really appreciated it. But the same pastor who did just a beautiful job with Grandma Alice's service was available. And so we were meeting with him. And I think we were all a little bit nervous because Grandpa Herb, he was he was a veteran. He had some crude jokes, right? And what was interesting is as we were talking to the pastor, we had kind of brought up like, I don't know that Grandpa Herb like would have wanted like a religious service or a spiritual service, because it just wasn't really the kind of guy he was. And it was fascinating because this pastor, I'm going to forget his name, is from Olivet, and he had kind of walked us through some of the just through some questions, asking us to share some stories about Grandpa Herb. And what was wild, and it's in me to this day, is that he had shared with us that Herb lived his life in a more Christ-like way than a lot of people that show up to church every day. Mm-hmm. And that is what it means to show your faith, even if you're not spiritual, even if you're not religious, like showing up for your neighbor, showing up for your family, showing up for your community is how you show up and how you show love. And that's been really important to me. Like I know my spiritual journey has been like up and down, and there's this funny thing that and I don't think you'll take any offense to this. The more you learn about religion, the like harder it is to get like really excited about it. And I went to a Lutheran college and had to learn about religion, and that was tough. And as a rainbow dot in a red state, it's also. But what's been kind of like central to my faith has been that 5-minute conversation that pastor had with us almost 20 years ago now. Mm-hmm. That's like, it's not about how you show up or how you talk about it. It's not about if you show up or how you talk about it. It's about living it out.
Yeah.
So that's one that.
No, that's absolutely fabulous. And by the way, you're talking to a Christian that is really only a Christian because he was a bass player first, and churches need bass players.
What a great way to recruit.
Yeah, you should play bass for lots of reasons. I don't know if that's the reason you should do it for, but no, like, and even just along those same lines. And I don't know if this fulfills your question, but I remember being in Crookston and getting invited to be on the worship team at a church in town. And they asked me, can you be on time? And I said, probably, sort of. And they asked me, do you have your own bass? And I was like, yes, I do own a bass. This will be great. They did not ask me if I was Christian. They didn't ask me if I was Lutheran. Shout out Trinity Lutheran, Crookston, Minnesota. They did not ask me really anything. Maybe they should have asked me more questions. That sounds like a really strange open invitation to a stranger. But that afforded me the ability to just show up however I needed to. It took away all the prerequisites and allowed me to go, I can just show up how I am today. And that was the thing that ultimately started me on my own faith journey, that made it so that when I was presented an opportunity with Furniture Mission, I was so excited to have a faith component be front and center as part of my work. And I think that's the thing, right? It doesn't matter how. Like, I think it's easy to get caught up on like, oh, I'm the wrong person, or I should either have more education or experience or credentials or whatever it is, or I don't know. There are a lot of excuses that everyone has told themselves. Mm-hmm. And I struggle with the same thing. Imposter syndrome is real, but letting it be okay that you're just here to serve. Being a staff of one, you really got to get used to the idea that we got to get this to 80% and then hit the go button, get it out into the world, warts and all, and get really good at cleaning up your messes. Because what you have to share at 80% is still powerful enough to make a difference.
Amen. Last question. What is one simple good thing that you would leave people with? This could be a piece of wisdom, a reminder, a quote that helps you lead with purpose.
Did you send me these questions in advance and I just ignored them?
Absolutely not.
Excellent. Okay, I feel a little better. because I also would have ignored them had you sent them to me.
You got a lot of stuff to do. You don't have time to be reviewing questions ahead of time.
Yeah, I think just the reminder that whatever it is, that it's okay to be you, and it's also okay to try to be a different you, right? I think sometimes we get cast into these roles where we think this is just who I have to be. And as it turns out, you can be anything that you would like to be. It doesn't really matter. And so whether that's an industry thing where you think I've been in banking my whole life, or if it is, this is always the type of person I've been with my family, or this is how I've always seen leadership. The thing I think about all the time is when you learn better, you do better, right? And I think today, especially in our world, every opportunity we have to learn a little more, that affords us the opportunity to evolve and change a little more, boy, do we need that. So I don't know, maybe that's it.
Sage advice, my friend. Jordan, thank you so much for helping us to see that sometimes very simple acts like a table, a bed, a chair can be a foundation for a new life, but also the challenge to become the person that you want to be. I think that is such sage advice. Thanks for all the work that you do. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being my friend and knowing me for actually probably longer than most of the people listening to this podcast have known me. Maybe except for my mother, because she's, one of our 8 listens a week. So Jordan McCormick, thanks for all the work that you do. Thanks for being here on Tellwell the Podcast.
Thanks, Max. Appreciate you.
Hey, Storymakers, thanks for listening to Tellwell the Podcast. We're so excited that you tuned in for this episode. If you found this episode helpful, if you got any nuggets of wisdom from it, we'd love for you to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, because that's how this message gets out. If you're interested in having Tellwell help you share your story, just reach out to us at wetellwell.com or reach out in the comments. We'll make sure that we're listening and we will reach back out. On behalf of my co-host Duncan Williamson and myself, thanks so much for being a story maker, and keep sharing your stories.
If we hold